But what about those data laws that could come into play? We're expecting some sort of announcement today. A possibility that your mobile phone calls and texts could be that data stored and monitored, all in the name of a safer country, perhaps. Let's talk to Emma Carr, Acting Director of Big Brother Watch, who's here. Good to see you. As always, Emma, look, national security versus absolute personal privacy. How do we balance that out?
It's incredibly difficult, and there's a very fine line between ensuring that we have as much security as we possibly can for our country and unintentionally invading people's privacy. It's a very fine line, and this is why the European Court of Justice back in April ruled that the existing legislation just wasn't acceptable. It was invading too many people's privacy. It wasn't making the public any safer, and therefore they decided to get rid of it. OK, so what if what we understand could happen today, where does that lie within your remit of what is too much in terms of invasion of privacy? Well, it absolutely depends on what the substantive detail is in this legislation. We have absolutely no idea. We're hoping that they're going to abide by the 10 criteria that was set down by the European Court of Justice to say that we couldn't have blanket retention of data. So all data that's collected can't be held on to just in case somebody commits a crime. There has to be a purpose to hold on to it, for instance. There has to be adequate security around how that data is held. So we're hoping that they'll adhere to those 10 criteria, and then we'll be pretty happy.
I mean, there's a talk here, a rumour at least, that it may involve mobile data, for instance, being retained as a matter of routine for 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, the previous law that was in existence said you could hold data for anywhere between 6 to 24 months. So 12 months would be an improvement on that. But I still think that if we appealed the legislation on a 12-month basis to the European Court of Justice, then that could still seem to be disproportionate.
Isn't the problem with all of this that the very nature of what we're talking about is a threat to national security, so we can't necessarily understand the full argument, because if we were to know what that threat was, then it would be a breach of national security. So we almost have to trust the government on this, that there is a reason why they want to push these laws through.
Absolutely, and this is actually one of the reasons why we would like to see an added transparency clause added to any new surveillance legislation. So at the moment, for instance, the police and intelligence agencies don't even need to record how many individuals they're monitoring, how many times they ask for communications data that relates to a single individual or a group. So simple statistics like that would make the public feel so much more secure and trustworthy in terms of what legislation we have in place.
Look, if we did get this 12-month retention issue built in, and it's a big if, but you know, if that did happen, we are expecting a news conference this morning, joint news conference from the PM and Deputy PM, which is interesting, so it seems to indicate cross-party support here. If you were in that news conference, Emma, what would be the one key question that you would want to ask them?
I would want to ask why it's taken them so long since April to rush through this legislation. Members of Parliament this week seem to be up in arms about the fact that we're going to have this announcement today and potentially going to try and rush through the legislation through the Commons and the Lords in a single day, because it is very important that we have updated surveillance legislation. But why is it taking so long, and why are they not giving Members of Parliament and Lords enough time to scrutinise the wording in this legislation?